about 5 minutes or so of a restorative bridge. So yeah, hooray for that. And as you get yourself set up in your restorative bridge pose, just remember that, you know, what you do with your legs is up to you. What you do with your arms is up to you. It might feel really nice to send your feet up to the ceiling for a moment and then set your feet back down, or even extend one of your legs out long and then the other leg out long. And really, there's no wrong way to set yourself up here. I'm just taking a little bit of time to observe your physical body this morning. Maybe it's, you know, the same as it is every other morning, or maybe this morning there are subtle differences based on the weather, what you have going on internally. And so just taking a little bit of time to find this restorative bridge kind of pose. And eventually come into some stillness. Good. And so we've been taking a little journey through the meridians in recent weeks in this class. And I think we've hit most of them that I have a little bit of a grip on, at least. And I've been thinking a little bit about this concept of emotional buoyancy, which is this idea that we can be sort of pulled under by, you know, various things, but that it's kind of in our natural state to float back up to the top, right? To find a little bit of that buoyancy, a little bit of that lightness. And it doesn't negate any of the weirdness or the difficulties that we have to navigate. But I think the draw is always in that direction, right? We're always kind of drawn that way. Oops. All right, this morning I just wanted to share a Mary Oliver poem that kind of popped into my mind yesterday as I was looking down at these lakes at the wildlife refuge that are just covered in lilies, water lilies. It's The Ponds by Mary Oliver. She writes, "Every year the lilies are so perfect, and I can hardly believe their lapped light crowding the black. Midsummer ponds. Nobody could count all of them. The muskrats swimming among the pads, and the grasses can reach out their muscular arms and touch only so many. They are that rife and wild. But what in this world is perfect? I bend closer and see how this one is clearly lopsided, and that one wears an orange blight, and this one is a glossy cheek half nibbled away, and that one is a slumped purse full of its own unstoppable decay. Still, what I want in my life is to be willing to be dazzled, to cast aside the weight of facts, and maybe even to float a little above this difficult world. I want to believe I'm looking into the white fire of a great mystery. I want to believe that the imperfections are nothing, that the light is everything, that it is more than the sum of each flawed blossom rising and fading, and I do." Good. Maybe just another minute or so here. If those knees are bent and the soles of the feet are on the floor, you might extend both of your legs out long and take notice of the hip flexors, the way things feel in the belly, the low back. That nice stretch through the hip flexors, through those deep core muscles, your psoas. And just 3 more breaths. Great. Good. And then go ahead and just settle your feet down if they're lifted. Let's take that block out of there and bring our lower back down to the floor. Good. And then just slide those legs out nice and long. Reach your arms overhead. Grab a hold of the strap as you do that. And as you grab a hold of the strap, just take it in between your hands, both of your hands. And we're just going to take a banana pose with the support of the strap. So sliding the upper body over to the right, you can hang onto that strap, maybe even wrap the strap around each one of your hands so you don't have to like grip as hard. And then slide your heels on over to the right as well. Good. So this morning we're going to work a little bit, well, there are a few different angles that I want to come from this morning. We're going to think about our heart and our lung meridians, which are located in our chest and underarms and down our arms. And I'm thinking of a little grounding as well. Right, so focusing a bit on the feet, especially on our kidney 1 and liver 2 points. And so as we settle in here, just take notice of your feet and soften them. Good, and then notice the left shoulder, underarm, and length of the arm. Good, and allow your breath to come and go. Good, maybe 10 more deep breaths here, finding some space through the left side of your body. Good, and for these last 3 breaths, notice the quality of your inhale. The way it kind of lifts you away from the floor a little bit. Gives you some extra space in the belly and the sides of the rib cage. Good, one more breath here. Yeah, and then bring yourself back through to the center. And as you do that, it might be nice to bring both of your feet up and just loop the strap around both of your feet and hang on to either side of the strap. So this is just a really like subtle back of the leg opening. Might also feel nice to take your strap and kind of slide it back and forth in the place where the ball of your foot meets the arch. And that's where our kidney 1 point is located. Okay, so for maybe 5 breaths or so, just creating that little bit of friction, perhaps, that little bit of heat on the soles of the feet. And maybe just holding yourself here in some stillness. Good, a couple more breaths. Right, and then go ahead and release the strap from the feet, bend those knees into the chest. And take a breath or two here. Notice your lower back. And notice your lower belly. Right, and then we're gonna extend out nice and long on the mat again. So if you wanna use your belly muscles to get your legs out there, great. Or you can set your feet down and slide those legs out. Yep, the choice is yours. And then wrap the strap around your hands again, and we'll scoot the upper body on over to the left. Heels will also go in that direction. And consider crossing one of your ankles over the other. It could be either ankle on top. Sometimes one feels better than the other. Good, and if your jaw has clenched at all, allow it to soften, maybe even wiggle it around a moment. Good. Notice how that right shoulder feels. The right side of your chest. All the way down into your right hip, lower belly. Good, and for these last 5 breaths or so, notice the inhale mostly. You might even stop for a second at the top of your inhale and just feel how your body is kind of lifted, expanded a little bit. Right, one more breath. And then let's come back through to the center here. And as you find the center, pull both of your knees in towards your chest. And we're gonna bring the soles of the feet together and the knees apart. And just take your strap around the outside edge of your feet. All right, and we're gonna come into a recline bound angle with that little bit of a strap bind. You can keep your hands holding the strap if you want to. Right, you might decide to like tuck the strap underneath your thighs. And pick up your shoulders and set them back down so that you have some space through the chest and across the collarbones. Good. Feel the soles of the feet touching each other and maybe each one of your toes touching its counterpart on the other side. And then follow that line all the way out from the tip of the tailbone, up through the low back and the low belly, the middle of your belly and the middle of your back, the front and the back of your heart. The back of the neck and your throat. Where your head touches the floor and your third eye point. And then notice the top of the head. Good. Another few big breaths here. Good, and then go ahead and just release the strap. And for a moment, take your fingertips to the lower ribs, to the inner edge of the lower ribs, and just kind of palpate there for a moment. Okay, like where your diaphragm is, this really powerful muscle that initially, as we evolved, was like a core stabilizing muscle, and still can be. But this is one of the muscles that we use to breathe, right? That we use to control our breathing. And sometimes it can get a little tight. Sometimes it can, the attachments to your diaphragm can thicken, harden a little bit if you've been breathing in a shallow way. So this little bit of like lower rib massage as you lie down. Good, a few more breaths. Wonderful. Right. And then take your hands down to your hips, a little press down on one thigh, press down on the other thigh. That might create like a subtle rocking motion of the pelvis. Great, and from here, we're just gonna make our way up into a seated position in your favorite way. So it might be you rocking yourself up, or maybe you are like rolling to your side and just taking it really slow and easy. Great. Yay. We're up and off of the floor. Look at us. And so we're going to use our tennis ball now. So just grab a hold of your tennis ball or whatever kind of ball you have nearby. And we're going to roll out the chest a little bit. This is something I learned in a course on traumatic stress and the breath. If you don't have a tennis ball, the heel of your hand is good enough. Yeah, just kind of pressing in. Exactly, and this helps to relieve something called body armoring, which happens when we undergo a lot of stress. I feel like the whole world is undergoing a whole lot of stress right now. There isn't like a single person that isn't like in that pot of soup, you know. And so taking care here. Whenever I do this, I'm like, whoa. There's a little bit of tension in there. It feels a little tense or a little stuck. So if you find a spot that feels maybe just like a little tender, it might be nice to press the tennis ball into that spot. And right now I'm focusing on this area on the side of the chest, which is like, you know, just inside the armpit. This is where your lung 1 and 2 points are. Okay, so you might move over there for a little bit. Just massage up and down. Okay, and then my favorite. Let's put that tennis ball under our armpit. And just give it a little squeeze. Good. Ooh, weird. Yeah, right? You might lift up your arm and roll that tennis ball around here too. And maybe you're just using your hand and your fingers, and that's totally fine. This will forever be your underarm tennis ball. So a couple more breaths. I swear when I first became a yoga teacher, never in a million years did I dream I'd be guiding people through underarm massage, but here we are. Good. Right, and then just go ahead and let's drop that arm and let's sit for a moment in the middle. Okay, and notice the arm that you just rolled out, that side of your chest. Good, and then take notice of the other side and the quality of your breath. Good, and then let's come back, open up our eyes if they're closed, and grab a hold of that tennis ball or the palm of your hand and just begin to roll out underneath your collarbone. You noticing if there's any weirdness or tension in there. As you move that tennis ball, notice what's happening with your brow and with your jaw and your tongue. And if there's a whole lot of like, going on, see if you can soften all that a little bit too. And keep your breathing as full as you can. And if this is your dominant side that you're on now, just kind of take notice of how things are feeling over here. Even if it's not your dominant side, just a moment to compare side to side. And then we'll roll up and down on the side of the chest. Yeah. Ooh. Right, a few more moments of this kind of like up and down motion. Right, and then let's find the armpit. So you might put that tennis ball under the arm and like put the arm down and squeeze for a couple of moments. Yeah, or you might decide to roll up and down. Really the choice is yours. This is an awkward movement. This is an awkward pressure point. This is the start of our heart meridian. And so it's nice to kind of wake things up a little bit in there. And just a few more moments. Good, and then go ahead and release that tennis ball down, and let's just give the shoulders a little bit of a shake. Get some of the rigidity out of them. And we're gonna grab a hold of our strap and just practice a little bit of like intuitive movement with the strap in our hands from our seated position. So we do this one a lot, right? Maybe there's a little side to side action. Maybe there's like this gentle rotation and circles that you're creating with your arms overhead. And maybe you want to spend a whole lot of time just like pressing both of your hands out to one side, finding space through the side of your body. The choice is yours, and your shoulders, are going to tell you what's okay and what's not okay. And I just recommend listening to them. And for me, like holding the strap behind feels really, really nice. And a little wave from side to side. And a few more breaths. Great. Notice the quality of your breathing again. Wonderful. And then go ahead and just bring that strap back. Let it go. Let's cross the arms and drop the head down and take some of the stress and pressure off of those inside lines of the arms that got a lot there. And notice the inhale again, the way it inflates the back of your body a little bit. And your exhale keeps you settled. Good. As you inhale, open up those arms nice and wide. Take a look up. And then we'll just hug around on the other side too. So dropping that head down and really looking to find some space in between the shoulder blades. Good. Notice the back of the neck. Good. One more deep breath here. All right, and then unwind those arms. And we're going to take the hands behind us. And if it's okay with the wrists, point your fingertips back towards your sitting bones. If that's not so great on the wrists, your fingertips can really point in any direction. We're looking for just like a tiny bit of a wrist stretch here. Right, and you can choose to keep your sitting bones down on the floor. You might lift them up, take your reverse tabletop, and even like a little rock back and forth in your reverse tabletop. The head might also drop back here. A little bit of space through the throat. Good, just a few breaths, nothing huge. Right, and then if you are lifted, let's come on back down. And we're gonna take a toe squat, everybody's favorite. I only say that because I know it's not. And I really wanna I don't know, just kind of pad it a little bit. I like to take a block and a blanket or a bolster or a stack of things to rest my knees on. Because what we really want here is for all of our toes to be touching down to the floor. And having that little bit of like a bench can be really, really helpful. So you can have your hands down on the floor this whole time. You might sit up nice and tall. Good, and let's just spend, I'm gonna say like a solid minute here. Right, and the choice is yours. You can leave your hands in your lap, or you could think about taking Hakini Mudra, which is bringing all of your finger pads together. And allow the shoulders to release away from the ears. And just do your best to stay with your breathing, especially that inhale. Right, notice both of your feet, the location of your heels in relation to your sitting bones. Good, another couple of breaths. All right, and then go ahead and just pick up the knees, take them off of your block and blanket or whatever you have there. We're gonna bring the tops of the feet to the floor and kick. So a little bit of like a temper tantrum. You might kick really hard. Maybe not. But feeling that place in between your big toe and your second toe touching down to the floor. This is our liver 2 points. Good, and then from here, think about maybe sitting back on your heels. Good, and this is another opportunity for us to just kind of sit, stretch your ankles. Okay, you might take the Hakini Mudra again, or another option is Lotus Mudra. That might be nice too. The heels of your hands, your pinkies and thumbs stay together, and then the rest of your fingers extend out, and your hands are like this little flower, this little cup at your heart. As you inhale, feeling the crown lifting up. As you exhale, those hips settle down. Good. Let's take maybe 5 more breaths here. And I just had the thought that if your ankles feel really comfortable in this pose, you might rock back and lift the knees. Good, another breath or 2. And then go ahead, set those knees down if they have lifted up. And we're gonna make our way onto hands and knees. And this time spent on hands and knees is time for you to just move in the way that feels right to you. Good, maybe rounding the back, dropping the belly. Maybe like a little jump rope action with your spine. No matter how you move here, you're gonna be creating a little bit more of a suppleness in those attachments of your diaphragm to your rib cage. No matter how you move, it's gonna help you take a deeper breath throughout your day. And it's funny because I think I spent like a couple decades thinking this was just all about the spine. It is. This is about all of our joints really, but it's to help us breathe better as well. Good. 3 more. Good. And then from here, we're going to make our way back into downward facing dog. Just at your own pace. Good. As you find your downward dog, let your head drop way down. Arms are nice and long. Might feel good to pedal your heels out. To really think about noticing the whole sole of the foot, which after all that toe squat and ankle stretching, you're probably a little bit more awake. Maybe you have a little bit more connection to that area. Good. A few more deep breaths. Good. And then really slowly, one like micro step at a time, begin to walk your feet up towards your hands. And it's going to be awkward. There's always that point at which like your hands and your feet are in this strange proximity and you feel like you're kind of scuttling forward, but just work through it. Get yourself into that standing forward fold. And here's another opportunity to maybe find some space through the shoulders and to use your strap if you need to. You might interlace your fingers behind you and press your knuckles up towards the ceiling. Yeah, or you might grab a hold of your strap behind you and press your hands up towards the ceiling with some space in between. Yeah, good. And take notice of what your head and neck want to do when you're stretching your shoulders. Sometimes it's nice to like reintroduce that heaviness of the head by like turning it gently side to side. If you feel your facial muscles crunching up, allow them to soften and move up your head. Good, yeah, and really the arms can be any style, so just do what works here. You're gonna settle in for, I'm thinking of roughly another 10 breaths or so. Good. And for these last few breaths while you're folding forward, let's touch into that liver 2 point again. So it's the space just in between your big toe and your second toe. And you're gonna move up the foot just a little bit. So you're gonna feel like a little tender point there probably. It's right in between your foot bones. You're right in that space. Pressing down and in, and if you have the space to do so, you might press in from both sides, so taking the thumb on the top into that point and the index finger around to the bottom. This is a powerful grounding point. And I think there's a big difference between feeling buoyant and light and feeling like you're going to fly away, right? So Anxiety and buoyancy can seem somewhat similar, but the difference is one is a little bit more grounded than the other. So tending to our groundedness is kind of key. Good, just a couple more breaths. All right, and then slowly start to roll yourself up one tiny little bit at a time, one vertebra at a time, until you're standing up nice and tall in your mountain pose. And I know my head is cut off here, but it's because we're gonna roll out the feet next. And I just wanted the feet to be a little bit more visible. So grabbing a hold of your tennis ball, okay, or anything that's like not super sharp. You could place really anything under this point of your foot. I want to focus in on our kidney 1 point again. All right, it might be nice for just a couple of moments to roll your arch out just a little bit, rolling your foot along the ball. All right, looking at the inner arch, feeling into the inner arch, looking for those tender points. Good. All right, some swift movement here for just a touch. Good, but then eventually we're gonna settle in on our kidney 1 point, which is essentially right around our liver 2 point. It's right where the ball of our foot meets the arch and kind of in between our big toe and second toe, probably more in line with the second toe. The tennis ball is big though, so you're gonna get like a general area here. You're gonna get in a general area. And it might be nice to put your heel down so that you feel a little bit more stability. We're really pressing down on this area of the foot. Good, maybe just another couple of breaths, especially if this feels intense. I know for me it does most of the time. All right, wonderful. And then let's go ahead and release that foot from the tennis ball. And just like we did before, after we massaged our underarms, let's stop in the middle. So let's stop in mountain pose. Both of our feet on the floor, the arms alongside, palms facing forward. Your tailbone kind of heavy and your heart kind of lifted. Notice the inhale and the exhale. One more, big breath in. Big breath out. All right. Let's grab a hold of that tennis ball with the other foot now. I think I'm on my left foot, maybe you are too. And let's take those broad strokes at first. All right. First, kind of moving rapidly, not stopping anywhere, in particular for far too long. Just keeping it moving at first. Good, a few more moments worth of that rapid movement. Anybody else's feet feeling really tender today? Mine are. Right, good. And then let's kind of hone in on that kidney 1 point area. So right where the ball meets the arch of the foot, bring the tennis ball there, just in between the big toe and the second toe, and press down. Woo. And try to breathe here. Keep your breathing full. Really nice. One more breath. Okay, and then go ahead and just release the foot from the tennis ball. I'd say just send the tennis ball away. I think we're done with him for now. And then let's feel both of the feet on the floor. And we're gonna spend a little bit of time rocking up onto the toes and then rocking back, weight into the heels, kind of peeling your toes away from the floor. Rocking up onto the toes, settling those heels down. And you might throw in some arm action as you rock up onto the toes, you raise your arms overhead. And as you settle the heels down, the arms come down. Breathing in, feeling light. Breathing out, growing roots. Good, a few more of these. This is hard, isn't it? I find it pretty hard. Good, one more, two more. All right, and then let's bring those arms down. And I think this morning, and this is kind of like where we've been going with this, I think we're gonna practice some cloud salutations, which are my new favorite thing in the whole wide world. So I'll demonstrate a couple of them. All right, at first you begin with a big exhale. And then inhale the hands to the heart. And let's do that a few times. Drop the hands, exhale, reach up, keep exhaling, hands together. Inhale, hands to the heart. Maybe two more of those. Breathing out. Hands touch, inhale, hands to the heart. One more time, exhale. Inhale, hands to the heart. All right, we're gonna add on exhale, bring the hands down, reach them up, fingertips come together, rock over into your right foot, and as you inhale, bring that left knee up, hands to the heart. Let's exhale, slowly bringing that foot towards the floor, and the second the hands meet, the foot touches the floor. Inhale, hands to the heart, rock into the left foot, lift up that right knee. Exhale, reach those arms up, set that foot down. Side to side, your own breath. Inhale, knee and hands come towards each other. Exhale, everything gets long. Good, side to side. Let's take 5 more rounds. And if you're a wobbly cloud today, it's okay. I think all clouds are a little wobbly. All right, one more round, this side then that. And let's end with our hands together at the heart, standing up nice and tall. Good, and how lovely it is to stand up on both of our feet. And for a moment here, just kind of observe the underlying quality of energy within you. Maybe your heart is beating a little more quickly from that physical movement, all that balancing. Feel both of your feet on the floor. And for these next 3 exhales, feel like you're breathing out through your feet. Good. And if you're feeling a little anxious this morning, I might skip this next part, but if you're feeling like you want a little bit of invigorating breath work, I mean, what better for a sense of lightness and buoyancy than a breath of joy? So let's inhale, 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 exhale, at your own pace. 3 inhales, and an exhale. 2 more. And you're going to come into that standing forward fold again. Let your head be nice and heavy. It might be nice to take your hands and massage the backs of your legs a little bit. Feel the back of the neck nice and long. Good. Just a few more deep breaths, folding forward. Great, and then make your way out into a downward facing dog, and this will be the last one of the practice. Good, in this downward facing dog, again, letting that head drop way down and sensing the length in the backs of your legs. Your choice, you might come down through a child's pose and onto your belly, or maybe through a plank pose and onto your belly, but we will all meet on our bellies. Yeah, if you want to take a vinyasa, you can certainly do that. Awesome. Good, and then from here on our bellies, let's stretch our arms out into a T shape. Into this yin arm stretch. So arms in a T shape, we're going to turn our head so that the right cheek is touching the floor. It might feel nice to bring a blanket or a block under your head as you roll on over to your right side. You just want to stack your hips and your shoulders. It might feel nice to bring both of your knees in towards your chest to help support the lower back a little bit. Good. Sense the palm of your hand, sense each one of your fingertips touching the floor. And breathe as deeply as is comfortable for you this morning. And let's just do a little bit of this practice called orbiting energy, which sounds really fancy and almost like out of this world. But really, it's just this concept of bringing your attention up and down whatever part of your body you are stretching through. As you breathe. So as you inhale, you might notice the breath coming in through the nose, going down into the chest, and then down through that right arm into the fingertips. And as you exhale, you might bring your attention back up through the hand, through the arm, back into the heart. Or maybe you want to do the reverse. Going to remain here for about 15 breaths more. And 1 or 2 more breaths here. And as you come out of this, move with care. That can be a lot on the arm and the shoulder. Move with care, find your belly. Might feel nice to tuck your hands underneath your hip points or stretch your arms out long past your head for a full pranam. Gesture of surrender. Good. A moment or two here in the middle just to come back. Notice that center line. And the weight of your body, but the lightness of your inhale. Great, and when it feels like time, you can make your way over to the other side. That left arm tees with the rest of your body. And you just roll on over, maybe something underneath your head. It might feel great to pull your knees in towards your chest, or there could be a little like kickstanding action. Your left knee pointing up and the sole of the left foot in front of or behind that extended, or that would be your right hand up. Yeah. Good, and this side's going to be different. We are not symmetrical creatures, as much as we want to be. So settling in, finding your breath. And allowing yourself these 15 to 20 breaths just to be here. Good. 2 breaths more. Right, and then from here, just coming back onto your belly. And I am thinking of a passive back bend just to close out if you're feeling it. And for that, just like a really, really small prop. So a blanket rolled up a little bit and then placed underneath the length of your spine. So, you know, the goal is not necessarily to have this big dramatic like sensation in the front of the chest, but to just lightly support the back of the body so that the front of the body has a chance to find just a little bit more space. Elevating the spine on that little blanket roll, letting your legs be long, or perhaps you want to bring the soles of the feet together and the knees out wide, or soles of the feet to the floor. There's really no wrong way to set up your legs here. You might decide to keep your arms alongside you, or maybe you're reaching them out past your head and loosely clasping your hands. Noticing your breath as it comes and as it goes. Allowing your thoughts to kind of pass through as if they're little clouds. And I just wanted to read that poem to you one more time. The ponds. Every year the lilies are so perfect. I can hardly believe their lapped light crowding the black midsummer ponds. Nobody could count all of them. The muskrats swimming among the pads and the grasses can reach out their muscular arms and touch only so many. They are that rife and wild. But what in this world is perfect? I bend closer and see how this one is clearly lopsided. And that one wears an orange blight. And this one is a glossy cheek half nibbled away. And that one is a slumped purse full of its own unstoppable decay. Still, what I want in my life is to be willing to be dazzled, to cast aside the weight of facts and maybe even to float a little above this difficult world. I want to believe I am looking into the white fire of a great mystery. I want to believe that the imperfections are nothing, that the light is everything, that it is more than the sum of each flawed blossom rising and fading, and I do. Breathing a breath that's a little bit bigger. An inhale, lightening you. An exhale that's a little bit more complete, emptying you out. Yeah, a few more breaths, maybe a little bit bigger than your usual unconscious breaths. And eventually, we're just going to move, right? Move our bodies in the way that feels appropriate based on where you are, how your body's arranged. And we'll come to sit up, just at your own pace. And I see on Rachel's screen that y'all have some clouds out there. So I just want to encourage you all, if you have the chance to spend maybe like a couple minutes cloud gazing today, which I don't know, like this has become a practice of mine that really helps me to feel a little more expansive, a little less like bogged down. And so as you come to sit up nice and tall, let's just bring the hands together at the heart, or maybe stack the hands one on top of the other. And breathing across those collarbones, lifting up the sternum just a touch, head above the hips. Good. As you breathe out, drop the head down towards the hands and the heart, honoring your practice and honoring each other too. Oh, yay. Happy Sunday, everybody. I hope you have like a really super lovely day and yeah, and you don't feel too spaced out right now.